It's Tuesday. Do you know where your freedom is, Paul?
Where's my freedom?
Yeah, welcome to a podcast above a convenience store talking Twin Peaks. I did the intro as like a Dr. Amp there because we get introduced to Dr. Amp in part 5 of The Return, Case Files. I'm Jill Fremming from the Joe Down. With me, as always, is Paul Muad'Dib.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so we are back with The Return. Woo! There's a lot of things going on here, Paul, and we give one of the weirdest cameos. uh,
Yes.
yeah, we'll get into it. But first, what are some of your first thoughts on this episode?
This episode. As we talked about before, the last four were really meant to be parts 1 and 2 watched together, part 3 and 4 watched together. This is when I remember watching it when it came out, and this is when I realized, oh shit, we're not gonna get Agent Cooper back for a long time.
Nope, we kind of got teased there with the hot coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We get little teases of it too here and there, but over the rest of it, this is pretty much where he hits his learning gap pretty much.
Yes, and in this episode, tough because you start getting introduced to characters in the way that David Lynch introduces characters, which is by not introducing them, and we just start seeing these characters. So now they're starting to fold more characters into the story. And again, knowing what we know now, I can remember and go, oh yeah, that character. But when I remember watching this for the first time, I'm going, oh shit, they're bringing in more people. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I found on rewatching this, I am now more interested in these new characters than I am when it goes back to Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That happened to you too?
Yes, it did. Absolutely. When I was rewatching this one, because I wanted to look a bit more in those stories, and we'll get into it when we get into it later towards the end, at the very end of the episode. But there's a character that we are introduced to that we don't really know except for credits, that it becomes a big deal.
Yeah. He's quite the character. But yeah, we'll get into it. let's jump into it again. Like I was rewatching this, and like for me, I was like when it went back to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, I was like, okay, yeah. It was like the complete opposite of like the first time I watched it when I was just like really excited to see what I knew. But now I'm like more knowing what I know now. I'm more vested in these storylines, especially the Dougie Jones.
Oh my God, yes.
And it's a lot more hilarious. Bumping walls and shit.
This is one of those things where, again, when you watch it the first time, it's the utter confusion. When you watch it the second time, you get the humor. Like, this is just, it's totally different. It's totally different.
Okay, well, it's we're back in Vegas, and we find there's hired goons still watching over Dougie's car at the model home.
Days.
The model home, and it just every time I say model home, I just think of Arrested Development. So I did the blue slip here too. um, uh, but Dougie's nowhere to be found. His car's still there. The goons tell this woman on the phone that he's just basically MIA. They don't know where he is.
Mm-hmm.
She does not take this news really well.
Oh,
this is the woman that they got on the horn with. This is Mr. C's contact, or the Vegas guy's contact via Mr. C.
Mm-hmm.
And then she texts the bad news. I think it says Argent 2.
Yep.
And it goes to, it looks like Buenos Aires, I think is.
Yep.
And it goes to like this weird like device. And this device also confounds me because later on it gets another message and it curls. That's what the tulpas do.
Yeah,
I completely forgot that.
I completely forgot that too. When I saw it happen, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was, and it's such a quick scene. but it just kind of like goes into the lore of like it almost it's like the what's real at this point
Mm-hmm.
of the whole thing. But yeah, so she texts the bad news and she does not look thrilled.
No.
Letting Mr. C know that they have no idea where the guy most definitely wants dead is.
Yes, and you can tell, like this is life or like you can tell this is life or death when she's sending this message.
Yeah, she is. She's quite skittish, and we do find out what happens with her later. Also introduces one of the more hilarious characters.
Yes,
we'll get to Ike when we get to Ike.
We'll get to Ike when we get to Ike. Absolutely. I'm excited to get to Ike.
So, Paul, we next go to the autopsy.
Yeah.
And, some interesting things transpire.
Well, they're making headway. I love how she's cracking jokes. Coroner's cracking jokes to these guys, and they're just not getting it. And they confirm that this person was killed by his head being cut off. But they find something that he hasn't eaten in days. And there's something in his stomach. And it's a little gold ring. And they find an inscription on it. To Dougie, with love, Janie E. I forgot all about them finding this ring.
I did too. It's the plot is kind of thickening now. Connections are starting to slowly, but they're being made. We're seeing connections, even though it is why Janie's ring is in this decapitated body found in Buckhorn, South Dakota. We'll have to find out.
Right? Why is it there? How did it get there? What did Dougie do? What didn't Dougie do?
I'm honestly trying to remember even if they answer this.
I was going to bring that up because I'm going to go on a limb here right now and say I don't think they do.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. We do find out there's connections with Janie though with the events that she's just not alone in Dougie's world. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As connections. And now we cut to Mr. C in prison. No, knowing when his food's coming like clockwork.
Like clockwork. And now the food comes. And he seems more normal. I mean, as normal as Mr. C is than he was the last episode.
Yeah. Last episode, it could be a number of things. I think he might, now that the Tulpa is dead and Cooper's trapped, he gets to retain those sensibilities. Mm-hmm. Could have been just the trauma of being in a severe car crash where you vomit Garmonbozia all over your face.
That could fuck you up. I mean, I don't know from firsthand experience yet.
Yeah, well, we do know, like, that poor officer didn't respond well.
No.
He was hospitalized.
I'm sure he's dead. So he goes to the mirror, and we get a flashback we get the introduction, or not the introduction, but we get reintroduced to Bob.
Yeah.
And he makes the note that Bob's still with him. He's like, "You're still with me. Good." So what do you think about that? Because again, my belief has been, and it goes back and forth, I think, in the show, but really this doppelganger is being controlled by Bob. In my mind, this is Bob Cooper. What do you think?
I think it is. And it might be when the accident happened, something may have happened where Bob was maybe temporarily blocked out. And that might have been also why he was talking kind of funny with Cole. Like,
yes.
And so, he just needed to make sure, because he seems reliant on Bob. And he's like, yeah, good. You're still with me. That's good. Mm-hmm. So I think Bob controls it, but there's elements of the doppelganger he has Cooper's abilities and memories, and he's still like a person. He's he's not like a Tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
He's still flesh and blood. So that's what I get from it is he's starting to come back now that Bob is coming back.
You know what? You brought that. That's what I think was happening there. I think that in that throwing up moment, when he was going to go back, he knew there was a chance he could lose Bob. And I think he was discombobulated. Again, we've kind of known that the Gargambosia is fuel for these lodge entities. So I think that he was weakened, in a weakened state. And when he went in the mirror and saw that Bob was still with him, he's getting back to himself. And we'll see that going forward, that we don't really see that Mr. C that we saw in the last episode again.
Yeah. And we also, we do find a few in part 8, that Bob is literally in him.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a very real chance he might have accidentally vomited Bob up.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see very, very, very distinctly that Bob is in him.
But but we get that cool effect where his face, and then they, through CGI or whatever, they make Kyle MacLachlan's face look like Frank Silva's.
Yeah, that was really, really well done, actually. For a guy that loves his cheesy effects, I thought that was really well done and subtle.
Yeah, and it's also what I call the most bizarre cameo.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a, obviously they're using Frank Silva's face and in a way kind of superimposing it over Kyle MacLachlan's, and it works so well, and it's so jarring and creepy because I think we didn't know going in how they were going to deal with Bob.
Exactly.
And up until this point, we don't even know. Our first run through, we don't know how they're even going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, when we were first watching this, all we kind of knew was Mr. C was the doppelganger.
Yes. That's really all we knew. And except that we knew that, we knew that, and again, I think it's great that we watched The Secret History we read The Secret History because at the end of the last season, we didn't know what the fuck was going on. We didn't know if it was a doppelganger. We didn't know what was going on with Cooper. We didn't know anything. We just saw that Bob was in Cooper. That's all we knew.
Yeah. And then with Fire Walk With Me, we find out that the good Cooper is in the Black Lodge.
The Black Lodge. Yep. And they really hammer on that in the, again, in The Secret History as well. So, yeah. I think
this is how they handled it. I think they handled it really well. Especially when he starts looking in the mirror. The first time I saw it, I was gasping. I'm like, oh shit, how are they going to do this? Please don't be a hokey effect.
Yeah, that was my worry too. I was like, don't let it be hokey.
Recycle the reflection scene from when Leland looked in the mirror.
Oh god. I mean, genius, wasn't it? just seeing Frank Silva like he's chewing fake gum all the time, and Cooper looks in the mirror. Gee, that would have been brilliant. Also, I wonder if I actually wondered if they're going to go the same way as Michael Anderson and make it something different. Like Bob had changed by being in Cooper. I was worried that was going to happen.
Yeah, I was too. But what we find out about Mike Anderson is that, he burned a bridge where Frank Silva unfortunately passed, and Lynch seems pretty respectful of people he's worked with, except for the bubblegum tree.
Except for the bubblegum tree. Fuck you.
So he dealt. I think they work with it pretty respectfully. They don't make him turn into full Frank Silva.
No.
It's just we get a taste of it, and then we get get the scenes from the season 2 finale. So we do know Bob is still with them. Bob's out there having fun.
Mm.
But he doesn't
he is.
He doesn't like being in prison though. So.
No. So we're gonna see that very, very soon. But first, we're gonna meet up with someone we haven't seen in 25 years. Snake. It's Snake.
I swear to God.
It's Snake, Joe. Old man Snake.
He's selling insurance now.
As we knew he was going to.
Oh man. This insurance agent was selling cocaine in high school.
Yeah, and drunk driving. Don't forget that.
Drunk driving, yeah. And his buddy Bobby, He killed that cop.
He killed that cop and then became a cop himself. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So Mike's interviewing. We meet him, and he's very kind of minor character, but he's just Steve.
Steve is a Steve.
Steve looks like he's on so much meth.
They did a really good job with his makeup, I thought.
Yeah, he looks just like he's been on a meth bender for months.
Yes. Whatever they did with him, and I don't know if you've actually seen him like outside of that. They did a great job.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the actor, so.
Okay, I looked up images, right? I looked up images of him because I'm not too familiar either. He was never anything he's been on really hasn't been on my radar. So I had to look up images. I'm like, God, he can't really look like that. Like he wouldn't get an acting job, would he? No, the makeup job on him is fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he looks rough, and Mike just berates him for having the worst resume he's ever seen in his life.
Mm-hmm.
He just called him in there because he just wanted to meet the schmuck who wouldn't think they would get hired for submitting that.
He berates him, saying it was, I just called you in here to let you know that this was the worst resume I've ever seen, worst written resume. Wasn't filled out right, and that he can't, he's like, you can't go and get any job with what you're doing right here, and just tears him apart. And I think this is the one and only time we see Snake.
Yep, this is one of the minor cameos. I guess I don't see what else they could have done with him. Just the return was more interested in the new characters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But even with the new characters, Steve doesn't have a whole lot. He's just kind of. We'll get a little bit more into that, but he's not a major.
No, but he does have an interesting arc towards the end of the series. I thought an interesting episode, and I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, me too, because I didn't even know who the actress he's like with. Mm-hmm. I didn't know until the end of the episode who she was.
Yeah, because on that one they don't spell. But let's not get in that. Let's keep moving forward here.
Frank's on the phone with Harry. Harry's not doing well.
No, Harry's not doing well, and Frank's not going to be doing well here because Doris comes in.
Oh, Frank.
Oh, wow. And that was that's a rough scene in my mind.
Well, that black mold, Frank. They got the pipe, Paul.
That black mold. And what's really interesting to me is, do you know who that is that plays his wife?
No, who is it?
So that's Candy Clark, who was in the David Bowie movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth. She played Mary Lou. And she was in More American Graffiti. She was in Q.
The classic.
The classic one. And really, if you want to, you can watch. I recommend it. I actually just watched it recently. Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, and she plays Buffy's mom.
Oh, the original one.
In the original one with Christy Swanson, she plays Buffy's mom. She was also in Zodiac.
That's a good movie.
That was a great movie. She played one of the minor characters in there. She played Carol Fisher. Okay. And so that was a really cool cameo in my mind. But man, Frank does not have any control at home. He may be a sheriff, but you could tell she runs that house.
Yeah, she's a strong personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very strong. After Frank gets yelled at for trying to do what she asked him to do, I guess just not quick enough.
Yep, because that leaky pipe's going to be fixed tomorrow, and she has to go all day with a leaky pipe.
Go get a bucket. Why am I going to buy a bucket I'm going to use once and I can't get the carpet I want? It's not fair, Frank.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
So then we move back to Dougie.
Tie still not tied.
Nope.
Oversized coat jacket that's lime green.
Yep, and she says that he needs to make the call them, whoever they are, get that deal set up.
Yep, she counted the money. He made $425,000 on nickel or quarter slots.
Quarter slots. Jesus Christ. We're going to find out more about that later. Then he looks at Sonny Jim and he cries.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. What was your take on why he was crying?
I think, well, I mean, without spoiler, when we find out when he comes back, Cooper fully was seeing everything that was going on in front of him. He was just trapped in the body.
And I think that's as far as you go with it right now.
Yeah, but I think with why he's crying when he sees Sonny Jim is when he does come back, Sonny Jim's no longer going to have a dad.
Yes.
That's why I think he was crying. Because here's this innocent kid who helped him learn how to eat his pancakes.
Yeah. And I think I can't wait to get to later when they have that. There's a conversation that occurs, and that's along this track. Yeah. And I'm interested to. I have some theories about, some things, but again, also there might be some changes because, we'll get to that too.
Well, so, I mean, we'll get to it, but Coop. I just don't want to get into super spoiler territory. No. But he does make sure the family's okay.
Yeah.
This is him. I think this is one of the few times he can express himself. He's just bummed out. He can't do anything. He's trapped, and he sees his family struggling, and it's Cooper, as we've learned, is an all-around good guy.
He's a really all-around good guy, but Janie's pissed.
Well, yeah, because his car is missing.
His car is missing. Where's your car, Dougie? So she drops him off at work, and he just wanders around the square.
Yeah, before he gets to work, though, because we go back to the model home. Arrested Development. We see the hired goons still driving around, and then like another set of cars, another car blasting Lynch music.
Yep.
I think it's Lynch and Dean. I think it's Frank 2000. I could be
Frank
wrong.
2000. I believe it's an offshoot of Frank 2000. I believe. It did say on the subtitles, but I didn't write down the note.
But so it becomes blasting. So it's kind of leading us to think there may be two separate things looking for Dougie. One would be Mr. C's people, and maybe whoever Janie is mentioning about them and they were owing money to. This is a great bait and switch, red herring sort of situation.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
So then we go to Dougie, and I love Dougie's license plate, Dougie Love.
Dougie Love. But it's spelled like Dooge Love.
Yeah, Dooge Love.
DUGLUV. Dooge Love.
So, yeah, they drive them, and we kind of get a glimpse that maybe Dougie has had, before Cooper returned, Dougie may have had episodes like this before where he just catatonic. Because Janie brings up as like one of your episodes. So that is.
And we're gonna get a character. I'll get to that part because we're gonna get really close to that when we meet Sinclair. So what happens here is that he sees this guy Phil carrying coffee.
Oh, we got to go before this.
Okay.
Okay, so Dougie gets out and he sees a statue.
Mm-hmm.
The statue looks kind of like he recognizes it, and it kind of looks like Sheriff Harry Truman.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it
But
does.
this is a statue of David Lynch's dad.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, his dad had a photo from when he worked for the Forest Rangers, and Lynch for this was a little nod to his dad. Lynch said it doesn't really look like his dad, but it's the same pose his dad's doing in the photo. But yeah, this is a little Easter egg into Lynch putting his own family type of thing into his art.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I did. That's news to me. I did not know this.
Then it's pointing him in the direction where he has to go for work too.
Yes. That's the part I caught, was that it's pointing him like, go that way.
And as Dougie's walking there, there's a guy with a lot of coffee, and Dougie gets very excited.
Dougie gets very excited with the coffee.
Oh my god.
He's such a toddler. He is such a toddler.
Yeah, and this what's the name of the guy with the coffee?
Phil.
Well, Dougie's pretty excited over the coffee, so he decides to give him Frank's cup.
Frank never finishes. Because Frank never finishes it. Oh God.
Oh.
And he'll give him some green tea. He'll try. Maybe he'll like some green tea.
Oh, Frank does seem to enjoy the green tea, but yeah. So again, this is like the weird quirks we get,
Mm-hmm.
and we get it's kind of like it. It's different, but it's the same when it comes to the original run, and we even get like just that close to fan service when Dougie responds as "Damn good, Joe."
Damn good, Joe. Yep, damn good, Joe. So then we get up to the Lucky 7 Insurance Company. We find out that this is where Dougie works. And there's some things going on, some little nuances in the office. But we get Anthony Sinclair, who's like, hey, did you go on another one of your benders? And this is played by
Sizemore, too.
I was going to say Tom Sizemore, who plays the perfect smarmy fuck, I think, in this.
Yeah, and it's weird seeing him work, considering like his long battle with drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, it's good to see him because I like him as an actor. He does play a good smarmy guy, but I think it was in the mid 2000s. He had like a reality show about his addictions with drugs, and like almost right away he falls off the wagon and starts smoking crack.
God.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I gotta check that out. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like very short-lived. Mostly because it was not entertaining. It was just more tragic. I stopped watching it just because it felt like torture porn with addiction. He does play a good swarmy asshole. It's just my favorite role of his is Scagnetti in Natural Born Killers.
Yes. Absolutely. He was brilliant in that. Yeah, it's really sad because when I do see Tom Sizemore, there's talent there, man. He is a good goddamn actor.
Oh yeah, he was destined for big things if his addictions hadn't gotten in the way, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's like, yeah, he covered for Dougie. He owes him big.
Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I think these are the episodes. I think Janie thinks it's an episode, and I think that what's been going on here is that Dougie's been blowing money at the casinos with hookers and having these drug-fueled escapades, and he comes back and he is just on a drug hangover. That's what I think's going on.
That very much could be. Everybody's sitting down, and Dougie just kind of wanders and just stands there.
Yes.
Bud Bushnell has to tell him he's got to sit down.
Yes, Bushnell's got to tell him to sit down. And we get something interesting from this. Why don't you explain this conversation that happens here?
Where with Sizemore and the insurance claim. Yeah, so this is really, we're seeing the lodges are really guiding Cooper to his return. They need him so they can get Bob back. So what happens is he's going over, like, we have to pay out this claim. And Bushnell's like, why? They said it was like, it was deemed arson. There's some like fuckery going along. And Cooper sees this like green light kind of reflecting off of Sizemore's head. And he just says, liar.
And he says, he's lying.
He's lying.
He's lying.
Which really, really pisses him off. Because I feel like they might have been in cahoots on some of this stuff.
Yes.
So it's like he's like Dougie's throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. The look that he gives and the facial expressions that Tom Sizemore does, you can tell that they were in on it together. Absolutely. Like Tom Sizemore sells that brilliantly.
Yeah, and so he sees the green glimmer. So like we're seeing that there's powers that be that are literally guiding him because they really need him. And it's funny because because this is not, well, what happens now is the Littlefield account is the one in question, and Bushnell's not entirely thrilled that Dougie's kind of calling their top insurance man a liar. He's like, gives him some like case files to go over so he can reevaluate, his position in the company. We'll get into what Dougie does with those.
Yes. Yeah, because that's really interesting.
But it's really he gives him the homework, and he's but he's not thrilled. Cooper's not making friends upon his return to the real world after 25 years in the lodges.
No, he is not making friends, and we're gonna find that out right next because the part. So we'll get back to that later. There's a scene that we'll get to, but now we meet the Mitchum brothers.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. Then we'll get into Dougie's once again doesn't know how to pee.
Oh well, doesn't that? Okay, is that? No, I'm sorry. That is before that. I'm sorry. That is before.
Okay,
that.
Yeah. Yes. So first, I love that two people had to carry Cooper into Bushnell's office.
They're dumb enough. They're like, close the door behind you when you leave.
And then after this scene, we see Dougie holding his crotch just in the hallway, and this nice woman comes up and is like, Dougie, is the men's room locked? And then she's like, I'll sneak you into the women's. And she's like flirting with him.
She's flirting with him because now Dougie's attractive.
Yeah, and she's like, maybe I'll let you kiss me again. And then he's just like, he just goes into the bathroom like, oh, I'll let you go. Like, there's like this weird thing where there's people who see there's something wrong here, and then there's people who are just oblivious to it, which is just...
This is the quirk, yeah, where people just... And I think this is also Lynch's take on... I do think there is a thing that Lynch is pointing on here that especially in Hollywood and things of that nature, people just ignore other people's suffering.
Yeah. There's something very wrong with Dougie, and people are just, they don't want to deal with it, so they just kind of like take a blind eye, unless, he's throwing you under the bus for insurance fraud.
Right. So the best part is she lets him in, and then he's loudly moans, which makes her kind of turns her on, and she giggles.
Oh, well, maybe she's into water sports. Who knows, man?
Hey, to each their own. I know of it.
Now we go back to the Silver Mustang Casino, where Brett Gelman's character is in a lot of trouble with the Mitchum brothers.
With the Mitchum brothers.
The only thing I've ever enjoyed Jim Belushi in.
Now I want to talk about this, and I'm sure you knew about this. Jim Belushi, during making this the return, pissed David Lynch off a lot.
Yeah, he tried to ad lib, and Lynch would have none of it.
Mm-hmm.
He would scold him in front of everybody else. Like, I think after a while he learned his lesson. Like that Lynch he doesn't put up with that bullshit. You stick to the script. Lynch can go off on his own. You know, he can ad lib via his stuff. It's his creation, but Belushi got under his skin a little bit, I think, here. It's just whatever, but I do like his character. Who's the other Mitchum brother?
So there was Rodney and Bradley, and the Rodney was played by Robert Knepper.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you know who Robert Knepper is, I pulled that up. He was known for, he was in Transporter 3, he was in Hitman. He's been acting for a long time, though. He was in the Stargate universe. If you watch that, he was Sam in the Heroes, the second one, or the offshoot, Slow Burn, and in the actual TV series as well. He was in Prison Break. He was in Carnival. If you watched Carnival, but he's been acting for a long, long time.
He was also a voice actor for Secret History of Twin Peaks.
Yes, which character did he play in that?
I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough.
There's a lot of cameos. I just off the top of my head, I don't remember who he played. But him and Amy Shields, who plays Candy, as we see. We don't get a whole lot of Candy at this point. She's one of the three, what would you even call them? They're not showgirls, but they're like the Mitchum brothers.
Entourage. They're female entourage. Yeah. Yep. They're I think that those are the girls that they just kind of swap. They want to get laid.
Yeah, but Candy's like the main kind of like focused one, and we'll find out she's one of the weirder characters.
Very odd character.
Very odd, but getting back, these brothers, they're not happy that $425,000 were lost on quarter slots. That many jackpots in a row, of course, raises so many red flags, especially in Vegas. Like, they just, part of their operation is losing some money, so the gamblers keep coming in. But if you're taking a loss, that's not good in Vegas.
No, and they said, they make the comment of, that's 29 more jackpots than we paid out last year.
Yeah. The one jackpot a year is pretty much their go-to, or unless they said 40. I thought it was 30. I could be wrong. But they end up beating the crap out of poor Brett Gelman's character.
Beat the shit out of him.
They even it does kind of like what Tarantino does, is it pans away from the actual violence and you just hear it, which almost makes it worse.
Yeah, it's rough.
You just hear bone crunching as you're watching these three entourage showgirl type characters.
Just watching.
Kind of. They're not really looking at anything. They're kind of staring off into space.
Yeah, it doesn't bother them at all. They've seen this a million times.
Yeah.
And they get him out there, and they're like, "Hey, you're the new guy. If you see him, you let us know."
Yeah, you don't want that guy coming back to your casino again. Some losses just goes with the territory, but 30 jackpots in span of 10 minutes is not good business.
No, I think that's how Trump lost his casinos. So then we go back, and I want to talk a little bit about this scene because there's another scene I don't want to spoil. But man, they hint in this one because the drug mom is passed out, the one that was yelling 119.
Yeah.
And her little boy sees this car across the street, and he's gonna go investigate, and he's playing with the bomb that's placed under there. And all I remember thinking is, "Oh God, Lynch is gonna kill a kid. Oh God, Lynch is gonna kill a kid." And he gets shooed away by the black car, the people who we don't know, the ones that we think that maybe Dougie owes money to.
No, they're just car thieves scamming the neighborhood. Although car thieves, I typically would imagine, don't blast music as loud as they can, making them very well known. But
driving around a 1970 black Dodge Charger, no, I don't think they typically do that.
But, so they shoot the kid away. They get in the car, and they all of a sudden they get De Niro'd in Casino. The car explodes.
And what I thought was great is that kid, when you look at where he's standing like 6 feet away from the
Yeah, he would have flown.
He would have blown up. I mean, he took like 5 steps, is in the grass right now, that part that's next to your driveway that gets all the fucking weeds and shit, like right where the grass meets the fucking driveway. He's standing right there, and this car blows up, and he's fine. Not even a speck of dust on him.
Well, at least at this point, Lynch hasn't killed a kid.
Well, I don't, this is my thing. I was just going to say that I was just going, oh my God, he's going to kill a kid. And then he didn't. I'm like, okay, thanks for not doing that, Lynch. So the boy runs back home, and his mother kind of wakes up, and she's all fucked up. And then we move to Jade again.
Yeah. She's getting her truck cleaned, and what happens is the guy cleaning it finds the Great Northern keychain that fell out of Dougie's pocket, I assume. Or he dropped it when they went over the bump.
So, did you notice, like the conversation that they had, though? Where he goes, hey, does one of your Johns live in Washington? This guy that washes her car knows she's a fucking prosty. Like, that was part of it to me. I'm like, so is he like one of her Johns as well? Is this like the guy she always goes to when she has to get her shit cleaned up from like the jizz? What's their relationship? What's Jade's relationship with this car cleaner guy?
I'm sure he is this probably just knows what she's her line of work is. I mean, yeah, she probably goes to the same place like anybody else. And Vegas is such a weird town. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if she's like, yeah, I'm a prostitute. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bob.
Clean my car. Get that jizz off my ass.
Clean up my car, asshole. I'm not here to chat about my Johns. Yeah. But she puts it in the mailbox, so it's going to get mailed back to the Great Northern. And now we go back to Twin Peaks. We're at the Double R. First, I think we've seen of it this season.
Mm-hmm.
And Norma looking as good as ever.
Yep.
She's doing paperwork and Shelly's working, and we see Shelly has a child, Becky. Her good-for-nothing daughter who just hits her up for money all the time.
Yeah, she comes in.
Say what you will about Shelly, but we never saw her badgering her family for money. The original run.
We never saw her family. She was living with Leo.
Yeah. We didn't need to see her family. She was self-sufficient. Becky. When I was your age, I was getting beat with soap.
What are you doing, Becky?
Well, we see Becky in a similar relationship. Just with a successful drug dealer.
Yeah.
At least with Leo, he was at least somewhat successful with what he did.
Yeah, Becky's like the unsuccessful form of Shelly, which is really sad because Shelly wasn't successful to begin with. No. Gorgeous, but not successful.
No, I mean, she was, we'll kind of get in there because they touch upon that, what happened with her in secret, in Final Dossier.
Yes.
But, she was, at least she had part of a house and that washer and dryer outside.
The outside washer and dryer. I still don't understand the outside washer and dryer. But yeah, so then Becky goes out. We realize she gets in the car with the guy that cannot do a fucking job interview. and he lies to her and tells her that the job interview went great, and they kiss, and then
$72, so he can take her out.
So he could take her out, and they kiss, and Norma and Shelley are staring at them. So they drive off, and she gives Steven the money that her mom just gave her, and in return they snort this, what we assume is the designer drug from China.
Yeah, I do want to say that we kind of get a glimpse that Norma has taken Shelley kind of under her wing as like a mother type figure, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We get that when they're watching, and she's just like kind of like talking with Shelley about how she's gotta like gotta like can't be enabling this anymore, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then Shelley snorts that designer drug, and we get what looks a lot like Laura's face when she looks at the ceiling fan in Fire Walk with Me.
Yes.
Even to the point where she has a distorted type grin, like a Joker grin, same as Laura. So,
yes.
And when I first saw this, I thought what they were doing is they were setting up another Laura Palmer situation.
That's what I thought too. I thought, okay, this is our new Laura. Yep.
No, we still have Laura.
Yep. No, we still have Laura. And again, this goes to show, as I brought up earlier, and we'll bring up later, that this drug is affiliated with the lodges, and Cooper's done some. Mr. C has done something to it. We also get a glimpse of Becky deliver the bread to Toad beforehand.
Yeah, Toad, who this episode's dedicated to.
Yes, that's exactly why I brought that up. This episode was was dedicated to Toad, who was been the chef that worked in the back.
Yeah, Marv Rosand. Different Toad from the TV show. I think this Toad was introduced in Fire Walk with Me, and then Lynch kept that.
Yes.
Toad in the original series was the fat trucker guy.
Toad was the fat trucker guy in the original series that they had to move him back at the time that they thought that the district attorney was MC Wentz.
Yeah.
And they make him eat in the back.
Yeah.
So then this is the part I want to talk about because I love this. So we got Dougie in an elevator crammed full of people, and he is staring at them, not the door like everyone else. It's so, and everyone's looking down because they don't know what to do.
Oh yeah, they just kind of shove him out of the way. I mean, this is the end of the day. You don't want to be fucking around. You want to get home.
Yep.
And you got this doofus kind of staring at you all goofy with his case files.
With his case file, and everyone's like, God, Dougie, move. Get out of the way, Dougie, move.
Yeah, and it's getting dark, and he just stands by the statue.
Yep.
Like it's like a child. Like he's looking for guidance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, we'll get to that because that comes later as well. And we'll get more of that later. And then we cut back to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, which is a very odd scene.
Yeah, it's Andy and Hawk going through the files, and Andy's he's getting a little frustrated because he's not finding anything about Indians.
God, I just was thinking this whole time. He's like, "Are you finding anything about Indians?" God, Hawk has the patience of a saint, I tell you.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, Andy is he's quite the character.
His heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
I think Hawk knows that. So then it's this very brief, just cut scene, just to kind of show that, hey, they're looking for whatever the log lady. Reminder, there's this thing they're looking for from the log lady.
Yep.
Then we cut to Jacoby. Joe.
Dr. Amp.
I know you're excited about this. Run with it, buddy.
7:00. Do you know where your freedom is? Oh, turning Jacoby into like a left-wing version of Alex Jones was like so. Like when I was watching this, I was like, "You gotta be fucking! This is fucking great."
Yeah, I know, right?
Like there's things like I was like just utterly baffled about, because we had no idea what's going on. But like as soon as I saw what they're doing with Jacoby, I was 100% all in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just a crazy old coot.
Yes.
He's doing his vlog.
Yes, he's doing his vlog, and it looks like he's like bootlegging, like bootlegging his broadcast or whatever he's doing.
Well, he's got a camera. It's not even like a webcam. It looks like a regular camera, but it's streaming live.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
see Jerry Horn getting high as hell watching it.
Yep.
And Nadine. We see
Nadine.
Nadine for the first time.
Yes. Nadine looks good.
Yeah, she looks really good.
She aged very well. And
everybody in this show did.
Yeah, they did. Pretty much everybody did. And one of my favorite thing is he's talking about, what they're gonna be cooking up next. And Jerry Horn's like, I know what I'm gonna be cooking up next.
As he's lighting up his joint.
and then he cuts to somehow he switches his feed over because he's jerry-rigged this whole thing. It's not on a computer per se. It's just the weirdest setup. It reminds me when I did my pirate radio show, but somehow with video. And he flips over and he plays this ad, and it's him.
Well, we find out what the shovels are for.
You are in, and it's the best infomercial I've ever seen.
You gotta shovel your way out of the shit.
And then you get the fucking blue screen.
Yeah, like the old in the 80s, 90s with the infomercial.
And what does it say? Dr. Hamp's shovel yourself out of shit. Like, oh my god.
2 coats guaranteed.
Oh god.
$29.99.
$29.99. 2 coats of gold.
Oh, this was God. Russ Tamblyn does it so he just plays it so well. Yeah, again, I was like, I'm all in on Dr. Amp. I love this. Like I can see this progression of weird hippie doctor turning to like off the rails vlogger.
Yes, and it is so brilliant. You could tell that Russ Tamblyn is loving it.
Mostly he's like talking about like all like the things people are consuming. He's naming off like all these like very serious ailments, and then he just randomly adds into like, amongst like different cancers or different like bleeding stool or something. He's like, warts! Warts! Just lost it. Just warts.
Warts. And Nadine is all into it. She is all into it. And I gotta look up. I just give me a second here. Keep going. I gotta look up what that fucking infomercial said.
Okay. So that's the end of this part. We're gonna have to. God, it's just. Yeah, he's just going off. And he had, what was it, huckleberry extract with like the purest waters of like Whitetail Mountain.
Because he's screaming, and he has to cut himself off because he's yelling so much. And God, where is it? Oh my God, I want to find that because it's so fucking brilliant. I had it. I didn't write it down though. I was like, I'll remember. No, of course I didn't fucking remember.
Well, we can get back.
Yeah, we can get back to it.
Even bring it up next episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hilarious, but because now we're going to the Pentagon. So we're getting like the levity of Dr. Amp, and we're kind of going back into the seriousness of things. Database hit on Garland Briggs has alerted the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
I think was it in 16th hit in 25 years.
Yes.
So like Briggs has been kind of popping in and out, but they could never locate or substantiate where Garland Briggs is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this hit is hitting Buckhorn, South Dakota. Yeah, the body at Ruth Davenport's bed. Mm-hmm. That is Garland Briggs, and he hasn't aged.
That is what we are seeing there. Yes, it is. We can put the pieces together at this point and go, holy shit, that body, those fingerprints are Briggs's fingerprints. And I love that Ernie Hudson's character is named Colonel Davis, which is an homage to the actor. Yeah.
And I love Ernie Hudson. I met him at a Comic-Con.
Oh, really?
A few years ago. Like, it was like the last day. It was the Sunday. It was the first time Minneapolis did the Wizard World one.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my wife at the time, we went up and we did the photo op. But he just talked, man. Him and Robert Englund like really get into like they'll sit and just chat with fans.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was talking about like Ghostbusters, and I told him that it's one of my favorite shows is HBO's Oz. He played the warden in that, and he seemed surprised that somebody at a Comic-Con would know that show. So, but yeah. No, it's good to see Ernie Hudson, Winston from Ghostbusters.
Yes, and he always seemed like a genuinely nice dude,
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Yeah, but now there's trouble at the Roadhouse, Paul, both literally and figuratively.
Yes, the band Trouble, which this is one of the bands I didn't get into. From this thing, I don't know. Did you? I didn't really. Their performance didn't really scream out to me.
If I have it on the soundtrack, it's what it is. I don't think there's anything else Trouble has released besides this track. I think it might have been just made for the show. It's Riley Lynch's band.
It's Riley Lynch's band, and it's Dean Hurley's band. Yeah.
So Riley Lynch is David Lynch's son.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the one who played the young boy in the original series, or was that his other son? I
think that was his other son.
Yeah, but no, Riley. This is like a weird noise jazz thing. It's like I said, if it comes up when I'm driving on my playlist or whatever, I don't turn it off, but I don't actively seek out to listen to it.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot that was Riley Lynch's band, so he brought that up. I would like to see more of Riley Lynch doing things. So I don't know if he's doing other band work or other music work. I should probably check that out after this podcast.
I think so, 'cause he's the one who's playing saxophone, I believe.
I believe so. Now I gotta look again. 1 second. He was the one that was he was on guitar. He was playing the lead guitar.
Okay. Well,
yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd be interested in listening more. I mean, they weren't bad. It's just, it's not something I actively seek out, It's,
mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I mean, it's not terrible to me. I know a lot of people don't like it. I'm just more indifferent, so.
Fair enough.
When we see this cocky son of a bitch smoking in the bar.
Smoking in the bar.
Right next to the no smoking sign. He's he's cocky. These girls sitting in the booth by him are kind of giggling, looking at him. Again, it's Twin Peaks. He's not a bad looking guy.
No.
Then Chad comes in after the bartender walks up and says, "You can't smoke in here." And he's like, "What are you kind of going to do about it?" I believe that bartender could probably just lay the word of God down on this guy. He's not like the most jacked actor.
Right.
But I mean, sometimes crazy beats strong. So, and we find out this character is crazy in spades.
Yes. Now, do you know who the bartender was, Will Crook?
Oh,
that was Vincent Castellanos, who was Ed in Mulholland Drive, and was Spider Monkey in The Crow City of Angels.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I hated City of Angels, but
so did I.
I only like the one Crow movie. And I love that movie. So
real quick side note, you should check out the fourth one with Edward Furlong and what's her name, Tara Reid. It's worth seeing.
Yeah, it's
Danny Trejo.
The last one I saw was the one with what's it, Kirsten Dunst?
Yes, that wasn't that great either. But
I was so upset by that. That's when I gave up on The Crow. I'll just stick with the Brandon Lee one. I'm
fair
good.
enough. I would recommend
Ernie Hudson also in that.
Also in The Crow, yes. But I am just gonna put that out there. You should watch the fourth one with Edward Furlong. It is worth the watch.
Yeah. Well, maybe old Joe down it.
You should Joe down it. I think you'll enjoy that. So go on, sir. I interrupted you.
So Chad's gonna take care of it. We see Chad is, and not only is he a dick to Andy, but he's in some shady situations where he's getting paid off by this character we meet. Gives him a pack of Morley cigarettes. Call back to the X-Files. That's where they originated from. So does this mean Twin Peaks and the X-Files exist in the same universe, Paul?
Probably. I think so.
There's a lot of things that this has shown up into. It's Morley cigarettes. If you look it on the Wikipedia, it's appeared in just about everything. It's appeared in Lost, Malcolm in the Middle, Seinfeld.
Yeah. Maybe they all are in a universe. I'm going to say yes.
Walking Dead.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean that means these are all in the, and even in movies that they're in Platoon apparently.
Right. That's right. They're in Platoon.
Yeah, it's basically what they use to, because a lot of directors like Lynch and especially like Tarantino and others really don't like product placement, so they'll just Morley seems to be like the generic brand of Marlboro. So yeah, so he takes this money, so he's getting paid off, and this poor woman starts flirting with Richard, and dear God, he's
a fuck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get any better.
Let's just bring it up now, because in the end credits we find out who he. We don't find out who he is. We get a name, it's Richard Horn.
Yes.
So that means he's either Audrey's son or most likely Johnny's.
Johnny's son.
Which, I'm aiming at Johnny. It all points to him.
It would make more sense. Richard Horn. Yeah, there's a lot that we're going to be discussing in the further episodes about fucking Richard Horn.
Oh, yeah, he's a real fuck.
He is.
We'll talk about, he does, meet with his dad, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He meets with Johnny at one point. Yep. Absolutely. And I have to say, the actor they got to play him, Eamon Farron.
Yes. He is phenomenal, too.
He's
a good actor from, things I've seen him in and, things I've read about, review, things he's just regarded as a really good actor.
Absolutely. And the way he plays this character, right when you see him, the mannerisms and everything he's doing, he's playing a villain. You're not supposed to like this character at all. Yeah, he also
slightly looks like David Patrick Kelly to me. Somebody brought that up when it aired, and now I can't get that out of my mind.
He
does. Kind of has a vibe, a David Patrick Kelly vibe to him.
Absolutely. And if you haven't watched, you watched The Witcher, right? He was in The Witcher.
Yeah.
And there's just anything he's in. He's one of these actors right now that if anything he's in, I haven't seen him do anything bad.
Yeah. So we know he's trouble. He's a Horn.
He's a
That family does not bring a lot of good into the world.
No, and he's a Richard.
Yeah, he's a real Richard.
He's a real Richard.
And then we go to something I think is interesting, and it's Tammy going through Cooper's files after the meeting. And part of me is in my headcanon, this is where she's also working on the dossier.
Yes, I agree.
My head canon, but she's looking at the picture of Cooper, and she realizes there's something off with the fingerprints. We find out later.
You can see it. You can. If you watch it.
He has a backward fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
The
fingerprints are backwards. If you look, you'll see. It was very plain. I thought this was Lynch throwing the audience a bone, and going, look here, the fingerprints are backwards.
Yeah, it's so. Not only is Mr. C speaking backward, he's got backward fingerprints. He's a strange man. Something's not adding up. Obviously, that's also something that's physically impossible to have happen. Your fingerprints just don't switch on you.
No.
25 years.
25, if you look at your fingerprint 25 years later, you'll see they'll reverse.
No, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, so we're kind of getting that. It's kind of a glimpse into Tammy's doing a lot of this kind of legwork for Cole and
Albert.
Albert. And then we go back to Mr. C in prison. He's getting his phone call from Warden Murphy.
So yeah, he's like out, he's sitting there, and he's like, okay, now that everyone's where they need to be, so he knows where everyone is.
The
Creepy.
gang's all here.
Yep, the gang's all here. Who should I call? Should I call Mr. Strawberry? No, I don't think I'll call Mr. Strawberry. And this upsets the warden.
I think it comes into play in the next episode.
The next episode or the episode after. Yes, we'll find that out.
What Mr. Strawberry is.
Yeah. So he picks up the phone and he does dialing like people do on computers, on keyboards. Just click, 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 click.
Which suddenly just causes all this chaos. Like the electronics are just going crazy. Alarms are going off. He's basically diverting their attention, and so they can't hear who he's talking to. He speaks into the phone and says, "The cow jumped over the moon." And then everything kind of goes back. They didn't catch this because they were like wondering what the fuck was happening with the security system.
Yes. He says the cow jumped over the moon, and when he hangs up, everything stops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is if I were working there, I'd be quite troubled by everything that happened. And then it goes back to Buenos Aires. Where that thing we saw blinking before shrinks into a gold doohickey, much like Doug Jones's head.
So I want to talk a little bit about that real quick. So I wonder if this was, again, we're seeing with the drugs, we've kind of seen with that, with the glass box area. He seems to have obviously it's Cooper, but he's, with Bob having control of Cooper's resources and everything. It's like he's created devices, and because essentially that's also what Dougie is, or Dougie Jones is, and that I've lodge-oriented technology, drugs, people, and I don't know what the purpose of this, and I don't remember if we find out what the purpose of the device is. I don't remember. But that was I'm like, okay, so now he's got fucking Lodge electronics.
Yeah. I think this is just kind of set off. What this had to do is kind of set things off to eventually either like get the ball rolling to get him out of federal prison and whatever. But I have no idea.
Right.
I
have no idea either.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fandom, if you look at the wiki page, the Twin Peaks wiki page, it doesn't seem like anybody really has a grasp on what this object is.
No, and who knows? It serves a purpose for something. We just don't know what.
What? Mm-hmm. Then we get back to it's dark. It's late. Dougie's still at the statue, and the credits start rolling.
Oh yeah, but before they start rolling, the security guard's like, "Hey, buddy, you can't be loitering here."
Right? Yep, you got to go. Oh my gosh! And then it's just, and then that's where it ends. And it's one of the few episodes, I think, one of the only episodes, one of like one or two more that don't end.
Didn't end with a Roadhouse performance either.
What's that?
The last episode didn't end.
True. Yeah.
This one I'm guessing is because we already got the Roadhouse scene with Richard, so it seemed weird going back.
Yep. And so it's. What's your impressions of this one, Joe? I want to get your impressions on it.
I like it. Again, like picking up on this stuff, knowing what we know, made it more enjoyable. My favorite parts is probably the Dougie stuff, which the first time I watched this and you would have asked me, the thing I would have hated the most was the Dougie stuff.
Absolutely. Same boat. Yeah. I love the introduction of Dr. Amp.
I do too. That was Oh, Russ Tamlin just does that so well. Just playing a nut, and it gets a lot. This is like I remember like wondering what happened to the quirk the first time I was watching it. Now that I'm sitting back and watching it, enjoying it, instead of trying to look for all these answers, the quirk's there. It's in spades, man.
Yeah, it's a great episode in my mind. I think it's moving it along. We're getting introduced to again new characters, things that are going to be kind of moving it along. So again, on your first watch through, mine, I had no idea what the fuck was going on again, and watching it the second time, like, oh right, this is how they introduce these particular characters. So yeah, it's the things are going to change as we're going to find out real soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna see lots of things happen. Time is getting fractured a bit.
Yeah, and this next episode is that we're going to be going next. There's a lot of things I love about it, and there's a lot of things that upset me about it.
Well, we'll have to get to that when we get to that.
Yes. So, Joe, what do you have going on, sir?
So this week on the Joe Down, we'll be putting it out Wednesday night. It's just a busy week. It's Foxcatcher. I had never seen the movie before. We're wrapping up Sports Month, and I saw as my excuse to see it. Wow. John DuPont was an interesting character.
And again, that movie doesn't go into all of it.
No, there's a lot. The documentary is kind of just how bonkers this guy was and how just coked up everybody on the Team Foxcatcher was.
Mm-hmm.
But I did some investigating. Future WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle was part of Team Foxcatcher.
Was part of Team? Yes, he was. Kurt Angle was part of Team Foxcatcher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's an interesting story, and it's just weird because we've been watching The Office with you for the Bears, Beats, and Bobbleheads podcast. So seeing Steve Carell is like the only thing I've been watching is Twin Peaks and The Office, and then like for whatever we watch for the Joe Down. So it's like Steve Carell, and I'm just like making Office jokes in my head as I'm watching it. Like this is the weirdest Michael Scott character.
Yes. So speaking of Bears, Beats, and Bobbleheads, that's the other thing that we do is we with our friend Scott, we watch The Office. Joe, you've watched The Office now how many times?
Probably like 3 or 4 times all the way through.
Mm-hmm. You bought yourself the DVD, right? The DVD.
Oh, I bought it digitally. Because I'm cheap
okay.
and I don't want to pay for Netflix.
No, and you know what? It's a smart thing to do because it's coming off of Netflix.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the new Peacock or whatever.
Yep, the NBC thing, and which means I have to go over the I have to get NBC Peacock or the fuck it is because I haven't seen the episodes.
Yeah, and I think there's a free version. It's gonna have commercials or whatever.
See, I don't do commercials. Fuck that. I won't do it. I'll buy it. That's what I do with Hulu. I just can't. I stream things so I don't have to watch ads. I'm such a fucking spoiled bitch like that, dude. Yeah, so our next episode of that is Hot Girls, I think is what you guys told me.
Hot Girl, yeah.
Hot Girl. Hot Girl, not Hot Girls, Hot Girl. Yeah, see, this is how much I don't know about The Office, people.
Yeah, you're in for it's a good episode. It's just one of the weirdest minor character that just kind of the actress who plays her, you'll see when you see it. She kind of like blew up as a big time actress, and most people forget she was even on The Office.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I'll have to look at that when we watch it because, yeah, I again, people, I don't watch the episode until we do the podcast. So, yeah, and then, speaking of other podcasts, and got the Cast That Movie that will come out the day after, around the same time that this one, that should come out the day after this podcast.
What are you guys doing for that again?
We are doing the 1998 movie Sphere, based on the Michael Crichton film. And then our dream project is the 1985 Senate music hearing with Tipper Gore and creating the parental advisory labels. I will warn you guys, if you listen to that one, I go into the history. This is probably one of my deeper dives since the Island of Dr. Moreau. So nice. There's a lot of history that we'll go into, and then we'll decide, then we'll talk about how we would cast that movie. And I'll give you guys a fair hint. I am fucking pissed off at Jode for picking an actor that I didn't.
Yeah, I have one thing I love about the aftermath of the PMRC.
Yes.
Is, it's the parental advisory stickers, and they put it on a Frank Zappa instrumental album.
I bring that up. Yes, real quick, they did that. Frank Zappa put out an album called Jazz from Hell, and it was given the parental advisory label because of lyrics. The thing is that it was his jazz album. There was no lyrics on it.
It's just how hard he hit at the PMRC.
Yes, and it also went to show that the PMRC, the whole PAL and the PMRC, it was failed to begin with. And I'll get into that. The other thing with it is that it became self-regulated by the record companies and not a government thing where government was listening to music and rating them like what was being proposed. So it also went to show that some of these companies, they didn't even listen to the albums. They just looked at the artist, went, I know that artist swears. Boom, here's a label. So yeah, it became kind of a joke. And again, I'll get a lot into that. I do bring that up. I bring up some other fallout, some other racism that came with the label, a lot of other things that occurred that that was very instrumental to many, many, many things that came down the road.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I'm looking forward to that.
And if you're a fan of Wasp, you're definitely going to want to listen.
No, I'm not a fan of Wasp.
I'm saying for our listeners, jackass. If any of our
listeners are not fans of Wasp,
fans of Wasp or Sheila Eaton or Rick James, you're going to want to listen. So, yeah, other than that, that's all I got going on. This episode, was, again, one of the more easy ones to follow.
Yeah, it's getting more linear here after the kind of like the craziness of episode 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, the false law of security is coming in.
Yeah, only to be just taken out from under our feet.
Very soon. Very soon.
Well, I think that does it for us. Paul, until next time, shovel yourself out of the shit.